friends. Today I found another Earth Day book. This one is titled Earth Day Every Day by Lisa Bullard. When you look at the cover of this book, what do you think? Is it nonfiction, like the one we read the other day where it taught us facts? Or is it fiction, where we have to use our imagination? Is it because it might be make-believe? I'm thinking this one might be fiction today because it's a book with a character on it. You know, when we read fiction books, I like to use this retelling hand. The retelling hand helps us to remember the important story elements of the story, like who are the characters in the story, what's the setting of the story, or where did the story happen, what happened at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end of the story. That helps us to retell the story. And then most fiction stories have a problem, and then they come up with a solution to solve their problem. And all of these story elements help us to understand the main idea of the story, which is why the author wrote the story. What is the lesson the author is trying to teach us when we read the book? So it's important, and I encourage you, when you're reading fiction books at home, maybe on Earth Day or any fiction book that you read on Epic or Bookshelf, when you're reading them, try to remember all of these important story elements. Who are the characters? What was the setting? Try to retell the story to yourself. Was there a problem? Did they come up with the solution? And what was the lesson or the main idea that the author was trying to tell you? So while we read our book today, let's see if we can listen and figure out what all of the story elements are to this story. Earth Day, every day. My name's Trina. I'm an Earthling. I live here on planet Earth. So do trees and bees and manatees. Unless you're from Mars, you're an Earthling too. People don't always take good care of our Earth home. We do things that hurt the Earth. We make the air dirty, we throw away too much, and we waste power. Here you can see lawnmowers make the air dirty. So do cars. Look at all the garbage they're throwing away. Mom says people should clean up their own messes. Earthlings made this earth mess, so we Earthlings should fix it. It's a job for everyone. Do you think planting a tree would help make the air clean and get rid of all this pollution? Maybe that's why people plant trees. My brother calls me Miss Big Mouth, so I used my big mouth to help the earth. Last week I asked everyone I know to plan something for Earth. Today was finally the big day, and oh, there it is, April 22nd, which happens to be today, Wednesday the 22nd, Earth Day. And I like this book, even though it's a fiction book. Look, it still gives us some captions here of some facts. It says, Earth Day happens once a year on April 22nd. On that day, people everywhere remember to help the Earth. Earth Day also reminds us to take care of Earth all year long. That's an important part. We shouldn't just do it one day, we should do it every day. My teacher taught my class how to plant trees. Everyone got to help. Someday our trees will grow to be much taller than we are. They'll make good homes for birds. You can also plant special gardens to feed bees and butterflies. And trees and plants aren't just helpful to animals, they also clean the air we all breathe. Another important fact. My friends formed an Earth Day club. We had our first meeting at lunch. Earth's problems mean problems for animals too. Even my favorite tigers are having trouble. So our club decided to save money to help animals. Here's another fact. People have formed many groups to help animals in trouble. The groups find ways to protect animals in the places they live. They study the animals to figure out new ways to help them. You can learn more about these groups on the internet. Ask your teacher or a parent to help you look. So that might be something fun to do today. My family's Earth Day. My family and neighbors had an Earth Day trade. Everybody brought stuff they don't need anymore, and I really liked this idea. We traded for things we want. Mom wouldn't let me trade my brother, so I traded an old puzzle for a soccer ball. So what are they all doing here? They're getting rid of things they don't need anymore and giving them to somebody else, which is reusing, a great thing for our Earth. It's better for the Earth when we reuse old things. Reuse means to use something again, then it doesn't end up in the trash. You also don't need to buy new things. Trading and reusing helps the Earth. Now my family is having a special Earth night. We turned off the TV and the computer. That way we don't use as much power. Instead, we're playing board games. My dog Daisy and I are winning. Wow, another great idea. Using power can make the air dirty, so turn off lights and machines whenever you can. Play outside instead of playing video games. Saving power helps save the Earth. Maybe you can use your big mouth too. Together we can talk to everyone about helping the Earth. We'll ask people to make it Earth Day every day. Then we can all find other ways to save the Earth tomorrow. And if you look at this picture, they're already coming up with other ways. So this man is using, instead of a gas lawnmower, he's using just one that doesn't require gas and doesn't make fumes. He just pushes it. So that's helping the Earth. And here this dad, instead of going someplace in the car and making pollution, he's going to ride his bike. And then look at this boy. He's making what's called a compost, where you take things that grow from nature, like most fruits and vegetables, like apples grow on trees, oranges, most fruits do. Vegetables grow in the ground. So when you're done, you take the core and throw it back into the earth in what's called a compost pile. And then it breaks down and becomes part of the soil. And then we don't have as much garbage. So those are also some good ideas to help the earth. So I really like this book because even though it's fiction and we had to use our imagination and the characters weren't real, it still taught us something. The author still had, I'll go back to my retelling hand, a main idea. All right, so let's think about all these story elements here and how they helped us to learn the main idea or the lesson of the story. So the characters in the story were Trina, and she was the main character who the book was mostly about, but then there were other characters that helped the story. Her mom, her brother, her teacher, her friends, her neighbors. And then the setting of the story, where it happened, was in Trina's town, where she lives, on planet Earth. And what was Trina's problem? Well, her problem was sometimes people don't take care of the Earth. So how did she solve her problem? What was her solution? She came up with a plan of how we can help our Earth. And if you think about the beginning and the middle and the end and try to retell, at the beginning of the story, Trina was upset that people do things to hurt the Earth. But then in the middle, she used her, what did her brother call it, her big mouth, to let people know ways to help the earth. They planted trees, they raised money for animals, they reused old items, they saved power, and all of these things, in the end, made Earth Day every day and helped our planet Earth. So that's what we need to do. I encourage you this week to continue. If you don't recycle at home, start recycling. Do some things that will help our planet. So let's think about what our story taught us. What was that main idea again? To help take care of our earth. So here I have a sorting out sheet, and we just learned one way is to create a compost and put things back into the earth that grew from the earth. You can also recycle, reuse, or sometimes you do end up having to just throw things in the garbage. So I have some pictures here. Let's see which one they go in. Where would the newspaper go? Well, if you're done reading the newspaper, what could you do with it? Yeah, you could probably recycle it and it could be made into something else made out of paper, right? How about an apple core? We just learned apples come from the earth, so why not put it back in the earth and put it in a compost pile? How about a shirt? If your shirt doesn't fit you anymore, should you throw it away? No, you could reuse it. Give it to someone who's smaller than you that it would fit, and then they could wear it. How about a box? Could you reuse a box and put something else in it? Sure, you could. How about a can? When you're done making soup, what do you do with the can? Should probably recycle it, right? And then how about if you go to McDonald's and get a drink and you're done with your drink, what do? Yeah, that probably would go in the garbage. But how about if you have a pop bottle and it's all gone? What could you do with that? Yeah, here in New York State, we can take it back and get a nickel for it. How about a glass jar? Maybe, you know what? You could probably reuse that and put other things in it. Maybe you could keep your loose change in a glass jar. How about a chip bag? If you're done with your chips, what would you do with that? That might be garbage. How about a bag? We just learned in New York State, we reuse our bags now. You could save it and take it to the store and use it again. And here's a pop can. Same thing as the pop bottle. You can take it back and get a nickel. How about a cereal box? When your cereal's all gone, you could recycle that. And that cardboard could be turned into a new cereal box. Same thing with a water bottle. Don't throw it in the garbage. Recycle it and it can be made into a new water bottle. Or now we can turn those in for a nickel too. And then how about a milk carton? Well, in one of the books we read, I think the last book we read, they turned an old milk carton and planted a flower in it, right? So you could reuse that. So look at, what are our biggest piles? Our biggest piles are reusing and recycling. And then that makes less garbage and we're not polluting the earth. So that's what I encourage you to start doing at home, is reusing and recycling. And then this compost pile, even though it just has an apple core, anything from nature, anything that grows out in nature, you could put back out in nature and it becomes part of the soil and helps new plants grow. So that's what I encourage you to do. Help take care of our earth. So today I'm going to encourage you to write something you can do to help the earth. And remember, star writers, these are some things you have to remember to do when you're writing at home. Leave finger spaces, start with a capital letter, capitalize the word I, stretch out your words, be stretchy snake and stretch out those words you don't know, spell your power words correctly, start using all lowercase letters unless it's the beginning of the sentence or the word I, you should be using all lowercase letters. And then, of course, what do you put at the end of your sentence? Either a period, a question mark, or an exclamation mark. So here I wrote, this could be maybe what you write today. I used an uppercase I, then I did a finger space. I can help the earth by, and you come up with something you're going to start doing to help the earth. Maybe you could draw a picture to match. Post a picture, send it to your teacher, and we'll be anxious to see some things you're going to start doing to help the earth.